Okay, everybody, here we go. This is the 814 week review video lesson. So we're going to review what we did last week, which is multi-step equations part 1 and multi-step equations with distribution. So number 1 and 2 are multi-step equations part 1. Number 1 and 2. So let's start with number 1. Always first step. Always first step is draw our line of separation. And of course, everybody has their notebook, paper, pencil out, ready to go. Okay. So first thing we notice is x is our variable, right? X is our variable. So we notice we have x's on this side. These two are x's. And we have x's on this side as well. So our goal is to get all the x's together, right? So what we can do with these two x's first is we can combine these two x's because these two x's are like terms. These two numbers are like terms. And how do we know they're like terms? Because they both have x. Right? So we say 37x minus 31x is 6x. Right? So I have established that I want my x's to be on the left. My x's will be on the left, and my numbers will be on the right. So I want to bring this x, 4x over here to this side. So when it comes over, it goes from a positive 4x to a negative 4x, right? So I'm going to cross out positive 4x, and then when it comes over, it's going to become a minus 4x. So minus 4x. So 6x minus 4x here, right? 6x minus 4x is 2x. So I get 2x. Okay. So now I'm left with, on this side, I'm left with 72. I'm left with 36. And I'm left with minus 36, excuse me. And I'm left with positive 30. So let's take them two at a time. So let's do these two first. 72 minus 36 is 36. Now, this plus 30 here, nothing happened to it, so it's just going to come straight down. So I'm going to say plus 30. So 36 plus 30 is 66. So now that I have my x's on one side, my numbers on the other side, I can actually bring down this x here straight down like that. So I can say x here. So I remember that 2x means 2 times x. A number next to a letter means multiply, 2 times x. So if I want to get rid of this 2 here, I got to bring it over, and it's going to divide, because it's the opposite of multiplying. So I'm going to cross out 2 on the left and divide by 2 on the right. So now I have 66 divided by 2 is 33. And that's our solution. So multiple steps, definitely multiple steps. But as long as we're organized, we keep everything in order, then everything's okay. Let's do our second example of multi-step equations, part 1, right? This one looks a little more, or less complicated than the first one, actually. Look at this one, has a bunch of things across, right? Bunch of numbers, bunch of terms across. But this one is less. So let's change our color here to red. And again, the first thing that I write down is my line of separation, right? Equal sign. So again, I notice that I have several x's. I have x here and I have x here, right? So what I want to do is I want to bring my x's together. So I can decide whether I want my x's on the left or I want my x's on the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this over here to this side. This minus 37x is going to come over to the minus 24x. So when I cross out minus 37x, the inverse of minus 37x is plus 37x. Right? So I see here that negative 24x and positive 37x are not the same sign. So when they are not the same sign, I know I have to subtract. So 37 take away 24 is 13. 13x, right? So I have established that my x's are going to be on the left and my numbers are going to be on the right, right? So if I know numbers, no, I just said that backwards. My x's are going to be on the right and my numbers are going to be on the left. So there is a number here on the right that needs to move over, which is this 1 here. So this 1 needs to move over to this side and become a negative 1. Because right now it's a positive 1. I need to move it over and become a negative 1. So I'm going to cross it out here, and I'm going to make it a negative 1. So now I say 40 minus 1 is 39. 39. So now everything with an x is on the left. Numbers are on the right. Again, everything with an x is on the right, numbers are on the left, right? So again, I remember that a number next to a letter means multiply, 13 times x. So the inverse of multiplication is division, right? The inverse of multiplying is dividing. So when I cross out 13 and it comes over to this side, it's going to go from multiplying to dividing by 13. So I'm going to divide by 13 here, just like that. And this x, actually I could have brought it down earlier, but this x comes down now, just like that. And 39 divided by 13 is 3. And there's that. Just like that. All right. So these two were examples that we did last week of multi-step equations, part 1. Right? Multi-step means a lot more than 2 steps, right? These are the kind of problems that we did in part 1. Now let's do work from the second assignment, which were multi-step equations with distribution, right? So again, first step that we do is draw our line of separation under the equal sign. So we draw our line of separation under the equal sign and we say equal. So the second thing that I noticed, right? First thing was the line of separation. Second thing that I notice is this problem has parentheses on it. Parentheses. And we remember that parentheses means to multiply, exactly. So we're going to multiply what's on the outside times what's on the inside. So negative 10 is going to multiply with x, and negative 10 is going to multiply with negative 6. So negative times positive is negative. 10 times x is 10x. Negative times negative is positive, so it's a plus. 10 times 6 is 60. So I have 60. Now, this 12 that's here, it just comes straight down. And I write 12 here. So, I notice here on the right side that I have, this is a regular number and this is a regular number, right? They're like terms. Why are they like terms? Well, they're like terms because they're just regular numbers, right? 12 doesn't have a variable in front of it, behind it. 60 doesn't have a variable behind it. So they're like terms. So let's combine these two. 12 plus 60. So 12 plus 60 is 72. Right? 72. So what I want to do now is I want to move this minus 10x here. I want to move it to this side, to the left. So it could be with plus positive 2x. So I'm going to cross out this minus 10x like this, and I'm going to bring it over, and the inverse or the opposite of minus 10x is plus 10x, right? Plus 10x. So I have established that my x's are going to be on the left and my numbers are going to be on the right. So this means that this minus 36 right here has got to come over to the right side. So minus 36, when it comes over, it's going to become a plus 36. Plus 36. So now, perfect. All my x's are on the left. All my numbers are on the right. So let's add these x's first. 2x plus 10x is 12x. And on the right side now, 72 plus 36 is 108. And again, we remember that 12x means 12 times x. And the inverse of multiplying times is dividing, right? So I'm going to cross out this 12 here. But when it comes over, it's going to divide, right? So I'm going to divide by 12. And now my x can come down, just like that. And 108 divided by 12 is 9. There you go. Definitely multi-step, right? Lots of steps. But this one, the key was it had distribution, right? It had these parentheses right here, which meant distribute. Multiply. Okay? One more multi-step equation with distribution. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our line of separation under the equal sign, right? Second thing that I notice is we have parentheses. Parentheses, parentheses, right? So we remember that parentheses means to multiply. So the 5 is going to multiply with the 2n on top, and the 5 is going to multiply by negative 3 on the bottom. So 5 times 2n, 5 times 2 is 10n, and 5 times, so we did the top 5 times 2n. Now the bottom, 5 times negative 3n is minus 15. Now this 12n is just going to come straight down. And this is a positive 10n, so I'm going to write that plus 12n. Now I notice here that these 12n and 10n are like terms. And we know they're like terms because they both have n. So I'm going to combine these two, just like that. So 12n plus 10n is 22n. Right. So now I notice, look what I notice. I have 22n here, and I have a minus 5n here. But I want these two guys to be together on the same side. So I'm going to bring this negative 5n over here to the left side. And when it comes over, the inverse or the opposite of minus 5n is plus 5n. Plus 5n. So 22n plus 5n is 27n. So my n's are clearly here. My numbers are going to be clearly on the right side. But wait a minute, this minus 15 here doesn't belong. It needs to come over to this side with the numbers. So I'm going to cross out this minus 15, and I'm going to bring it over and make it a plus 15. So now 39 plus 15 is 54. I'm going to write it down here so it could be next to my 27n there. And I remember that 27n means 27 times n, right? And the inverse of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to cross out 27, and I'm going to divide by 27. And I'm going to bring down my n, and 54 divided by 27 is 2. And there we go. That is our solution for the second problem of multi-step equations with distribution. And those are those two there, the work that we did last week, a review, and those two there, the work that we did last week. All right? Everybody make sure you rewind if you need to, or pause if you need to, and make sure you have all your notes done.